had a relationship, and occasionally, because I was the brawn of the outfit, she would enlist me when the Jerry Garcia trio was playing to take the sound equipment over and help set it up, you know. But anyway, so we kind of had this indirect interaction. I didn't know Mickey so directly. I knew some of the other members because they had gone through MIT before me, and it was an eclectic group of people. And but we stayed in touch sort of indirectly through Betsy Cohen, who did that. And then later on, Mickey was involved in preservation of sound projects, a number of them, and so forth. So we ended up interacting with each other in some meetings and so forth, including with libraries and places like the Smithsonian. And one of them I mentioned, we just had a project where we had taken the sound waves. You see some of them in this picture behind us. Some of the sound waves from the early universe, and they're acoustic waves, and shifted them into the region where they would be considered sound. That is, you can hear them with your ear. So we're shifting them up many octaves. And I sort of played it for him off my computer and so forth. And I said, you know, there's a lot more data like this. And Mickey's going, gimme, because it's inspiration for music. And he was looking, he's always trying to invent and write new stuff. And that's true. I mean, he's a really creative guy. He always wants to do new things. And so we gathered together several people, and we're sending him, you know, sounds, and he's just using them for inspiration. And he wants more and more. And so we said we have to get really focused on this and think about what's going. And we started putting together a collaboration. Mickey had this group of people who know a lot. Some of them are here. You'll see Ben Jonas is the person who's responsible for this. He had people who had knowledge about the sound of music. We had to learn about videos and so forth. And I had people that knew about the science. And we had mutual people that knew about the sonification. Keith Jackson, unfortunately, had colon cancer and died recently. So we dedicated him. But the parents from Meyer Sound, Karen Meyer, was one of the people. We got started, and we realized not only could we take acoustic waves, but we could take information in light waves and many other things, and sonify them. And lately, they're on a project sonifying Mickey's brainwaves. So there's no end of potential sources. You know, the good thing is he gets to prove he has a brain that has waves. You know? I mean, there's not, how many of you can say that? And so it turned out that as that went on, I realized we were going to need more people. That Mickey was so voracious in his appetite, we were going to need more people. And Perrin Meyer and Lucia got us in touch with the Lonsberry Foundation, who gave us some funding so I could pay postdocs and grad students to help get videos together and provide the input to the people like Mark Valora, who's here, to sonify things. And we could provide the raw input, and then made up sort of a storyboard about what we thought, what we could kind of do for Tours of the Universe. And we did a first generation, which we were going to present at night in the Tulum, which is a Mayan thing. And Mickey chickened out the last minute and says, we're going to have it at the hotel. I went ahead to give him my cosmology talk at the Temple of the Wind, which should have been a hint, because the big wind came up and blew this giant screen over on top of us. And the audience, of course, wanted to keep hearing it. So while they're resurrecting, 4 guys are holding the screen on either side to try and shout over the wind to do this kind of stuff. And we did the first presentation in the ballroom, meeting room of the hotel. And that convinced us to go ahead and do this next one. And we had dreams that we'd do even more, but it took us a long time to get here because Mickey got so excited about us, he couldn't wait to go on the road and play a lot of new music, and created a new CD and so forth. But finally tonight, we're going to get to show you what was long in birthing, longer than a child, but in some ways is very interesting, and I hope we can actually put together something else. The key thing is you're going to see real high-definition pictures of things, and you're going to hear music that's made from the sonified version of the actual information coming from the music, and they match. See? So,
yes. Hopefully they will match, and they do match. I'll make it kind of short.
you have to tell your version.
Well, anyway, it was such a pleasure to work with George. I mean, having George ride shotgun with me, he's a great partner. He couldn't have won for a better one. He kept me on the straight and narrow and told me what it was and what it wasn't. And then there's the Lounsbury folks to thank. And God, taking on a project like this is so wonderful. Karen Meyer and Sean Meyer and Meyer Sound and Wayne and Richard, of course, my dear friend. This was a little bit of a stretch, but it happened like the way I see it is that I was looking for. I wrote 2 books in 1991 called "Drumming at the Edge of Magic" and "Planet Drum," and it traced the history. I tried to find where the brotherhood and the sisterhood of rhythm came from. Where did the rhythm that we have come from? And I went back to Neolithic, Paleolithic, went down to the historical record, and of course, in order to really find out where vibration comes from, you had to go back to the singularity. You had to go back to the Big Bang. But in those days, it was, I believe, between 10 and 20 billion a year, right? That's a lot of billions. We didn't know exactly where it was or when it was. We still don't know, but when it was, until George pinned the tail on the donkey's speaker, and he found the cosmic background radiation at 400,000 years this side. Singularity. So now I had the start of the story. I had beat 1, the moment of creation, when the beat started, when the whole universe, the blank page of the universe exploded, creating the planets, stars, supernovas, the sun, the moon, the earth, and us. So there was a beautiful timeline. Any rhythmist that's worth his salt could not turn away from the idea of tracing the history of time and space. So that's really what this is about. So the information that was gathered from the telescopes, radio telescopes, was transferred into the computers, and we turned radiation light into sound, brought it into our very small band of hearing, and mixed it in with the exact sonic events that were happening at that moment. When you see the event, you see the object or the epic event, you will hear that. Now, this brings together art and science, which is a great, very powerful combination, especially for all the students and scientists of the world, and the kids. It's a synesthetic moment. When you see and you hear something, you see an object. When George, you'll hear how he describes the universe as a field of daisies, and the ways that it really is in terms that we can all understand. But the idea of seeing the aurora borealis and hearing it together, my goodness, I would hope that this would spawn a generation of energetic, visionary, and imaginative, not only astrophysicists, but people who are interested in the sound of the universe, because Pythagoras was riding shotgun with me. And I mean, if Pythagoras could be here now, right here now, because he was the first one to give numerical and mathematical equations to the heavenly bodies. So to him, the universe was an instrument, just like it is to me. Everything has a sound and a light. Everything that moves is alive, but if it isn't, it's inanimate, it's dead. And when the rhythm stops, we stop, and everything else stops. The whole universe is based on vibration. It's the basic element of all life, vibration. Rhythm is controlled vibration. So strap your seatbelts in, and let's take a journey from the beginning of time to here, right now, in this auditorium. I really thank you all for coming out, and so open your minds, open your ears, and and your imagination, let it flow, and you will see and hear the place that you live. So, without further ado, as you say, shall we, the proceedings, oh, you, yes.
No, I say you did a great job. Let's go. Let's see.